Hello again, tacticians! Welcome back to the Mythic Journey series, where I pretend I'm knowledgeable enough about the game to figure out all the best solutions to the various heroes' Mythic Journey chains, and to make the Tau pay for it. Today's hero, Typhus, has been requested by several viewers, most recently a Shongxing. Sorry for probably butchering the name, I got it from Google translating your handle and am very tone deaf. And Kobe Thai. So if it helps you or entertains you, feel free to express your thanks to them in the comments. And because my Typhus is Iron 1 and I really don't want to be feeding him anytime soon, this one is going to be very theoretical. Mission 1. Defeat 7 enemies with the Infiltrate trait with Typhus in one battle. Somewhat surprisingly, this mission is very doable in the Mirror Same Hand campaign, because there are several stages with 7 or more Harlequins in the normal version of it already. So, seeing as the Mirror Same Hand stage 19 is the earliest stage with 7 Harlequins with the Infiltrate trait, I'm gonna hit this one. My Iron 1 Typhus is gonna need all the support he can get for this, so bringing Rodbone and Thaumachus, and let's go! Blurp. This is gonna take a while, isn't it? Oh yes, cluster together please. Nice. Oh, that was Typhus's passive, killing whatever that was, so it's fine. And die. Lovely. So in theory, this is Typhus's first Mythic Journey mission done. Moving on. Mission 2. Deal 20,000 damage with Typhus in one turn. This mission is a 100% have you wasted enough badges on this lump of shit's active check, and if I did the maths right, I haven't. For optimal damage output, you will want a map with a diameter 5 open area like this. Then you want Typhus anywhere at the edge and all the remaining hexes filled with non-swarm enemies. Typhus can use his active at range even when he's engaged in melee, so when he farts at the central hex, his Perfume de Cologne will reach 6 secondary targets and 11 tertiary targets for maximum possible coverage. Assuming all the hexes are occupied and a linear progression from level 35, you would need a roughly level 42 Typhus active to deal enough damage reliably, and also enemies with at least 1400 or so HP to actually take the damage. I am not considering Typhus's passive for this, which can give you an extra 500 damage or so if your Typhus can survive a turn being the front line. Having a higher level Typhus will of course reduce the number of enemies needed, but I think the best option for this mission is still an LRE stage where you can bring Isabella to keep Typhus alive at the front, and the second best would be an Onslaught stage. Alright, so this is a theoretical on Typhus's mission 2, and I'm gonna be showing Onslaught Zone 71, because my Chaos Onslaught is, well, I haven't played much of it compared to the Imperials and Xenos. And let's see how viable it is to try and get the Onslaught stage full of Tyranids. So, first problem, this map doesn't really have a large enough free area. I think this hex has the most available hexes around it, and it also gives your Typhus a potential perch where my Rodbone is now to attack from. So I'm gonna try and block off this hill for my well, let's call him Typhus, shall we? So my Typhus is getting in position.
Make way for him. There, now he is only attackable by any swarms, or well, at most one swarm that will spawn behind your units. A secondary problem is that Karn got activated, so he will be killing the Tyranids. That's bad. And this map also comes with the added benefit of having swarms in it, which will reduce, or will take reduced damage from the Typhus's breath. So this is a rather suboptimal setup for that. Okay, well, no matter. Now I can see if Typhus in this position at gold 3 blue star would survive, because Typhus has very similar stats to Maladas. He has the same HP but roughly 10%, let's call it, less armor, but that shouldn't really be a factor here. Okay, so on this particular map, I think Typhus would have no problem surviving. Now fill it with enemies there, and at this point I think you would want to use Typhus's active on the central Hormagant. They have 2000 HP here already, so that's enough to maximize the damage taken. And yeah, at that point you would have to hope the damage is enough. So actually, how many targets are we missing? We are missing one secondary target, no, tertiary target here, another tertiary target here, one tertiary target west or southwest and northwest, so that's 4, and 2 tertiary targets here, so something like 6 tertiary targets are missing on this map. Or you could pull Ahriman and Rodbone back and hope that Typhus survives or something. There are ways to handle this. So this map is missing quite some damage potential for this mission. You would need correspondingly higher than level 24, sorry, level 42 Typhus is active to get enough damage done here. Oh well. Anyway, I think I've beaten this dead horse enough, so gonna cut the video here and move on.
Mission 3. Overkill 100 enemies with Typhus. This is definitely a mission to cheese somewhere in the Fall of Cadia. Normally I do these in stage 67, but because Typhus's passive deals low damage, I had to find a different one.
Okay, so because my Typhus's passive is too small to reliably overkill Cadians in the Fall of Cadia stage 67, I'm gonna cheese it in the Fall of Cadia stage 5 instead. And the trick here is to take advantage of the spawning pattern of the Cadians summoned by the Voxcasters by realizing they only ever deploy them at the map's edge, and as such, if you put Typhus in the corner there, now eventually Voxcasters will start putting Cadians here, and coincidentally that's the only hex adjacent to Typhus, So all the other Cadians are perfectly safe from him, and as such the Voxcasters will never get scared away. So basically now the stage and the mission is solved, and I just need to pass turns for Typhus to kill 100 enemies, which is gonna take a while, and it will also flood the board with stuff, which is nasty. And because, well, I'm not on the mission yet, and as such, I screwed up, don't need to finish it right now. I'm just gonna skip to the end and show you the eventual clearing of the stage, because that's gonna look a lot like this. Good, now all the Voxcasters have been taken care of. Maximize the splashes because fuck it, tempus fugit, which is supposed to mean time flies, as in hurry up bitches. There, and mission cleared. So this is how I one day may do Typhus Mythic Journey Mission 3 when my Typhus is on his Mythic Journey, if ever. Anyway, moving on.
Mission 4. Defeat 7 enemies on contamination hexes with Typhus in one turn. Definitely the most annoying mission of Typhus's journey, but there does seem to be a cheesy solution. The lowest tier Tangida raid you can find. I'm not gonna try this until I actually have the mission, but here's my reasoning for why I think this is the best way. There are two limiting factors to this mission: contamination hexes and Typhus's active's damage. The two least unreliable sources of contamination available to us are Vitruvius's active and the Plague Burst Crawler, and both come with their own problems. Vitruvius limits the modes we can try this in to Arena, LREs, and Raids, and on top of that he gives us at most 5 hexes of contamination due to how Typhus's active works, so he needs another source of contamination, which could be any of the toxic damage heroes, but that's too random to be practical. The Plague Burst Crawler can provide contamination on demand, with some RNG still, sure, but it's much more controllable than, for example, Tense Summons. On the other hand, it can only be deployed in the Arena and Raids as well. The Arena isn't gonna work because of the number of targets you need on specific hexes, and because of the newly implemented turn limit, preventing the Grotsplosion you would need to get these targets. Besides, the average Arena team is now a power crap dump fest of heroes you can't afford to keep alive anyway. This pretty much leaves us with Raids as the only mode where you can deploy Vitruvius and the Plague Burst Crawler together, and out of those, only the ones with the Infinite-ish summons are gonna work, limiting us to Sibyl, Abraxas, and Rivas. And the aforementioned Tangida, against whom we can't use Vitruvius, but who spams contamination himself like a mother flipper. I'm pretty confident that if you don't kill off the Skitari and bring the Plague Burst Crawler, at some point there will be a cluster of 7 of them in contamination that Typhus can fart up. So yeah, this is the only fight in the game I can see this mission being doable somewhat reliably. Mission 5. Deal 100,000 damage with Typhus. Finally, another mission that can be almost auto-grinded in Fall of Cadia stage 67.
Okay, so for the final Typhus's Mythic Journey mission, which is to deal 100,000 damage with him, I'm gonna use the best Cadian grinding stage, which I think is Cadia 67. And because my Typhus is rather squishy, I'm gonna be giving him Thaumatus's shield. And that should keep him alive at least through the initial bombardment. There, now he is even Rodbone supported, and this should be fine. There. Okay. And now it should be enough to just keep passing turn. And Typhus's passive at level 35 should be automatically guaranteedly killing all the Cadians that spawn in adjacent to him. Well, one at a turn. And since they have something like 400 HP, that means killing 250 of them to get the total of 100,000 damage. So that's gonna take a while, and I'm not gonna be such an evil bastard to make you sit through all of that, because I'm not even on the mission. So I think you got the point up until now. So I think I'm gonna cut the video here and call it a day.
And that's roughly how I'll be going about Typhus's Mythic Journey somewhere in the far, far future. Typhus is a very low priority for me, as he's not really useful in the modes I care about. Although I have to admit the Death Guard team can be a pain between the cheeks in Guild Wars. Well, whatever. This video's a wrap. I hope you found it entertaining or useful, and I'll be back with something else eventually. Until then, be good, or Typhus will get ya! Kaurin, out.